Hey, did you take the bus today?
No.
Because we want guys, we want killers. Well, welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. Sorry, Jonathan Gannon was just here, letting us know that his players took the bus today. Yeah, what do we got for them today?
What's up? It's D. So we got a whole packed show. Football's back, baby. Football is back, and it's no more preseason. It is actually week one. It is week one eve. So I'm loving it. So we're going to be touching base on the Cardinals situation with Jonathan Gannon. The Raiders have a little bit of a wonky situation going on with a couple of their players. 49ers preview. We're going against the Steelers. Are they going to have Bosa? Who the hell knows? Uh, College football week one just passed. There was a bunch of stories from that. But before we get into that, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Really helps us out a ton, and we appreciate it. So drop some comments as well.
Yeah, and with that, I think we'll just kind of open on a team that is probably tanking this year, the Arizona Cardinals. How can the organization let the social media team keep on roasting the shit out of Jonathan Gannon? Like, is it a good thing that they're getting so much publicity, or
Yeah,
is it like
I mean,
we're making this
and
guy look too much like a clown? The pew pew pew. Remember the fireworks?
yes, I don't know what's going on. We all know that the Arizona Cardinals are just a low-level organization. Like players came out with the survey at the end of last year saying they just didn't pretty much like anything that was going on with the Cardinals organization. It looks like that is continuing on through the new regime, but I don't. If you were to tell me that Jonathan Gannon was just like a Nathan Fielder like type of social experiment, I would believe you. I'd be like, yeah, I mean that makes sense. Of course, no one's gonna hire that guy.
Everyone's saying he looks like Murr from Impractical Jokers. So they're like, ask if he ride the bus. Ask if he rides the bus.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this guy. I can definitely see it being a one and done. As far as like a tanking situation, I don't know if you've seen the reports before the season start, but Caleb Williams was already like, I don't know if I'm going to come back. I've seen that people were like, what the boosters should do is just band together, pull as much money as they can, and just pay him to stay one more year as they go into the Big Ten. Which I mean doesn't sound bad. I know a lot of people laughed it off, like, huh, yeah, okay, cool. But I don't know if you remember the SMU documentary where they talk about how players were getting paid under the table more salary than what they were when in the NFL. And yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
was
not.
Dickerson. He's like, I'm taking a pay cut.
Yeah, Dickerson, I took a pay cut to get here, but it's not to that level now. But a team with a lot of money, with the bright lights of USC moving into the Big Ten, you don't think they could pull as much as they could? Just be like, hey, 1 year, take us to the promised land. Let's do this. So, and on top of that, Lincoln Riley is his coach. Who did Lincoln Riley coach? Kyler Murray. You don't think that he's in his ear like, hey, it's a shit organization. Don't go there. So I don't know if they are tanking for Caleb Williams or if they feel like, hey, even if we do suck and we don't get the number one pick, we can get a specific, a different quarterback, because this is a very quarterback heavy draft, as we had spoken about a couple of weeks now.
I mean, they might be set at quarterback already, even without Kyler. Because did you see Jonathan Gannon said he's not revealing the starter this week for competitive advantage?
Yeah.
It's between sixth round rookie Clayton Tune and Josh Dobbs, who got there a few days ago. So
Did you see how they listed the depth chart?
no,
It says QB1 is Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune.
it's gotta be
They're still not released. Like they don't release it.
gotta be the first or I've seen on a depth chart.
Yeah. So it's just a weird situation, dude. I think that they are. We just never know in the National Football League either. Everyone thought that the Seahawks were going to suck last year. There could be just a surprise tank job team. You just never know.
Well, I'd put them on high alert for a Buda Baker trade midseason. I mean, they dumped Isaiah Simmons for a 6th-round pick, and it seemed like this guy has all the talent in the world. They misused him, and then it didn't work out. And we're kind of looking at it like, shouldn't this guy be like a perennial Pro Bowl player? Just find somewhere. He's an athlete. He's a football player. Find somewhere where he can make plays. And people are still kind of high on him. They're like, I seen people surprised he got traded for a 6th-round pick, and they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna go off now. And I wouldn't be surprised knowing the Cardinals. But yeah, it'd be a tough decision if I'm the best quarterback in college football, and it's between going to the Cardinals or trying to win a national title and win another Heisman. Like, you could, at the end of the day, you're going to get paid to stay. And in a year, you're going to get paid again for the NFL. You have potential, if you're winning Heismans after Heismans and national titles, to go down as a legendary college football player. So I don't know how much that entices him, but they're in LA. They have a high status coach, high status quarterback. You don't think those boosters really want him to stay and really want to be in that top 4, top 5 conversation?
Yeah, man. I don't know. And then I just think there's going to be competition for who sucks the most this year. I think there's going to be a dog race, you know?
Who are you putting your money on? I mean, we got the Falcons with Desmond Ridder. We'll see if Sam Howell's the guy. I'm hearing good things. Who else we got? Titans on the bubble. Rams, that would be pretty interesting if they fell down to a number 1 spot.
Bro, they're already like ass. Like, I could see it. Did you we didn't talk about this story, but Matthew Stafford having to have the equipment guy create a picture book for him to learn rookies' names. Like, they're not a good squad. It's not a good team. And you just can tell already, if he doesn't know any of these guys' names. Like, there's a chemistry issue. Cooper Kupp's already hurt. You're seeing a specialist in Minnesota about his hamstring. That's not a good sign. Last year, Matthew Stafford's arm almost fell off. They had to trade away Jalen Ramsey. It's really only Aaron Donald and who else back there on that defense.
And did you see them? I think it was on Matthew Stafford's wife's podcast where he said he was struggling to connect with the younger guys in the locker room. He's like, oh, do I have to be the teacher and tell them to get off their phone? Like, yeah. So, and he was injured last year, but he wasn't good. Baker came in and gave him some energy, and the fuck them picks mentality is kind of fucking your roster right now because you didn't have any picks to really fill out the roster. You didn't have any money to fill out the roster. And if you would have had a little bit extra money, maybe Baker Mayfield will be there. And if Matt Stafford wasn't the same guy, this guy could bring in some energy for you. So, I mean, not to say Baker's going to be an amazing franchise guy, but I mean, he's a starting quarterback in the NFL for sure.
I could see them sucking too.
Yeah, they can both suck.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like what I've seen out of Baker so far. I'm really rooting for him out there. I mean, they have talent. The Bucs have talent.
I just think they're all checked out. I think they need a new coach in there, a new regime. All right, let's get a new quarterback. Let's get some life back into this building. So it's going to be interesting just to kind of see what it all boils down to. But yeah, the Cardinals as of right now, I think their over-under was 3.5 games. Would you take the over or the under on that?
I'm taking the under. 3 games, I think, is exactly where they're going to fall.
But 2 of those games are against the Rams, as we just talked about right now.
Yeah, but I'd rather right now I'm banking on McVay over Gannon. At the end of the day, that's what I'm kind of banking on.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is there a sneaky surprise worst team this year? I feel like there could be maybe a Browns, if Deshaun is just a mediocre quarterback again. I feel like they could drop down. The Giants, I'm pretty worried about. The Colts, I feel like they could be the kind of Bears, flashy quarterback here and there, but just couldn't put together wins.
And I think they'd be fine tanking. They're yeah, fuck it. We'll take another high pick. We'll go out and get Travis Hunter. We're cool with that.
Yeah. So Let's just get into our next topic, the Raiders. Can you go ahead and let us know what's going on in Vegas?
Man, so there's a couple of different things going on. So right now, Chandler Jones is at odds with the coach and the GM. Apparently, he said he's not able to get into the building. Let me pull up these tweets really quick.
Yeah, and
I
then
think
I
I
think there
sent.
was some Jimmy Garoppolo stuff too, right?
Yeah, I'll get into that shit after. So yeah, this reports came out before. Apparently, he said, "I'm not gonna fuck it. I don't want to play for this." From his Instagram, fuck it. I don't want to play for the Raiders if that's my head coach or my GM. They won't let me in the building though. They're just trying to provoke me. In what I mean, his words. And they had direct contact with my baby mama. We ain't been together in 5 years. Some lady reporting to her about how I was at work, even though I don't talk to her about work or anything in person. I'm provoked. And then he sent just a bunch of stuff like that. So it's pretty weird situation. And then the same day, Jimmy Garoppolo was also restructured his deal, creating 17 mil more in cap space. I don't know if this means that they are going to restructure Chandler Jones and give him more money. I don't know why that would mean he's locked out of the building and has to work out separately. It's just a weird situation, and just the Raiders are gonna Raider. Like, what do you make of all of this?
I have no fucking clue what's going on. Why are you locking out Chandler Jones?
And this is
Um,
a guy that they signed last offseason. Like, so it's not like this is a brand new regime coming in. This is a guy that's been there for years, like how they did Josh Jacobs and pretty much all the other rookies last year, where they were like, "Hey, fuck it, you're not our guy." This is their guy that they brought in.
but the Raiders have been weird for a while. Like even the Devonte Adams trade, like Devonte got there and was like, I don't know about this. And then
Fair.
Jimmy G comes in and he's like, man, he's like, what was it like? I'm worried about the play calling and like the passes and everything. So it's like, who's happy right now as a Raider? Like they got rid of Darren Waller, who's like one of the best tight ends in the league. Josh Jacobs was holding out, and now he's a running back, so he had to just suck it up and go to work. So I really don't know what's going on with this team. Could this be a case of this coach was not a good coach, but they didn't have the money to fire him?
I think so. I mean, that was even going back to Khalil Mack. They couldn't sign him because they just didn't have the money to put into escrow. So they needed to trade him. They got rid of Gruden. They had to pay out his salary. They then paid Josh McDaniels. They take a big swing. Doesn't work out. You have multi-years still left on the deal. So yeah, maybe Mark's like, you know what, fuck it. Like maybe he's also like, hey, you know what? To make an omelet, you gotta crack a few eggs. Like this is fine. We're gonna
Didn't
ride
run
it
through
out.
a dozen eggs and a couple chickens. They're
But
yeah.
they're like, hey, you know what? If you are gonna take complete control of this team, take complete control. Go ahead and do it. Whatever you need. But even then, it's fucking. This is a guy that they went out and picked up for
But
themselves. It's not like
isn't this where McDaniels went wrong last time, where he was like, "I'm gonna take complete control. I'm gonna be the guy. It's gonna be my way or the highway," and then he dipped out.
yeah. I mean, he's just not a good coach. I know that on the Broncos, they were actually cheating. They were filming other teams' practices, and then once they got caught, they did not win a single game.
Typical
So
Patriots move.
yeah, but I mean, I just don't. I think he's one of those guys who's a good offensive coordinator. He's not a good head coach, which is completely fine. But you have this guy at running your operation when you just moved to Las Vegas, and Vegas only cares about winning. Look at what the Golden Knights did. Their first year, they go to the finals. Now they've won a championship. The Aces have won a championship. I'm sure when the A's go to Vegas, they're going to do everything to try to win. If not, Vegas is going to pass them up. They are going to find other things to do because, again, it is Las Vegas. So I just think that does he make it through this year?
he's gonna make it through this year. If only for the money's sake. Like they can't afford to cut him. Especially, I think what plays into this a little bit is they made the wrong choice. They had Derek Carr, they had Scangarello,
Scangarello, yeah, I think that's how it's pronounced.
Rich Scangarello, and they were looking great.
Yeah,
They were rolling.
it was
And
a
then
cohesive unit that made the push to the playoffs. It felt really good. They really battled through adversity. So you think that makes the team stronger, and this is going to put us over the top. Adding Chandler Jones, adding Devontae Adams. I was saying last year that the Raiders actually won the offseason with the moves that they made because on paper it was a playoff team that was ready to take the next step.
is it a Scangarello or is it Bisaccia?
Oh, it was Passaccia. You're right.
Bisaccia. We're gonna get roasted for that.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, it's this says former Raiders pistachio.
Pistachio.
Former Raiders coach Rich Pistachio. Yeah, Bisaccia. Yeah, I think they were rolling. They had it reminds me of like the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets. They were a team of just like underdog guys, a bunch of dogs, built a great chemistry, built a great just locker room. And then they were like, let's get stars. And they just completely ruined their team. And it's just like, why are we going to build up all of this culture, all of this chemistry just to tear it away for one name? And that's kind of like they pulled the rug out on these guys when they had all the team on the same page for Josh McDaniels, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, man. So I mean, I'm not sure what's happening with Chandler Jones, but I'm sure him and his brother are kind of like linking up, like, hey, like we know our worth. What are they going to do? They're just going to lose without us. But I think obviously Chris is in a much better position than Chandler because I think the Raiders would be they're going to suck regardless. You know what I mean? The Chiefs, on the other hand, he's the best defensive player on a squad that is trying to make another Super Bowl run. So he has a little bit more leverage.
Is the Jimmy G contract maneuvering I didn't see the details, but do you think this is any way opening the door for an Aiden O'Connell to come play this season? Like, what if Aiden O'Connell just saves everyone's job there?
I think Aiden O'Connell, like, the door's open anyways for him to come in and start because Jimmy Garoppolo's going to get hurt. We know it. We've watched the Jimmy Garoppolo, era in San Francisco, and that's all it was. Like he can't stay healthy. It just something about Jimmy it doesn't click with staying on the field.
And how many times is Jimmy going to throw a terrible interception and Raiders fans going to be like, yeah, we're done with this guy. We don't want to see this.
And it's not even about the fans. I think, again, Josh is going to feel like this is my job is on the line. I'm going to yank this guy and let's get some new blood in here. So,
yeah, shout out Aiden O'Connell. Hopefully he's their Brock Purdy. The 49ers week 1 versus Steelers. A lot of interesting storylines with this one. Maybe we'll do some prediction at the end, but I do want to plug really quick. Every Saturday during the football season, we do our diamond pick of the week. We pick the best 49er bet, and it's a good time. I think we had a pretty good win streak going last year.
Yeah, Juwan Jennings was our guy. We always took his over for a good little streak there. But yeah, feel free to follow along. It's going to be dropping on Saturday. We usually have some pretty good picks. So we'll tell you our hits. We'll tell you our misses. It's all good. So with the restructure of the Jimmy G contract, with Chandler Jones being upset, are the Raiders gearing up to trade for Nick Bosa? Is that what's going on here? No, I'm just fucking with you.
They would never pay anyone that amount of money. But there's a tough situation right now where reports are the 49ers and Bosa are like $4 million per year off. And I think it was Rap Sheet saying that it's a discrepancy that they're having between the Aaron Donald contract. It was 32 mil a year annually, but I guess he had a $5 million kicker in there for not retiring. So Bosa's saying, okay, give me that extra 5 mil too. And the Niners saying, oh, no, that's not part of the contract. That's like separate from this. So that's what I'm hearing that this situation's from. And it's getting down to it. Like we're recording this Tuesday night, and Bosa's not signed yet. They got to play on Sunday.
I mean, we're already to the territory where he's going to be limited on snaps, regardless if it gets signed at midnight tonight, tomorrow, no matter what, he is going to be limited on snaps. This is a team in the Pittsburgh Steelers that is ready to kick the shit out of people. They haven't won a playoff game, I think, in 5 years, something around there. So they are ready to go, and they feel very confident in Kenny Pickett to make this next jump. So this is not a team that is fucking around. And just to see that these starting DNs as of right now are Cleveland Farrell and Drake Jackson doesn't strike a lot of fear into the opponent, I would assume.
Better be a big Javon Hargrave game.
Yeah, and so it's going to be tough, dude. I mean, do you think that this deal ends up getting done before Sunday?
I hope so. I mean, I would think everything that I've believed about the organization says that this gets done tomorrow. So at the end of the day, like, we can't afford to lose these random games. Like, we are a slow starting team.
Yeah.
And the Steelers are a team who, like, they played their starters a lot in the preseason. They're coming in hot. They are ready to hit someone in the mouth. And we played Brock Purdy like 3 drives, and he's coming off the elbow. He looked good. The team, I mean, Kittle's injured. We have guys already banged up. Ufunga's coming back to practice. I think Greenlaw's coming back to practice. But we're already in mid-season form where our guys are really getting banged up. So is this a trap game here? I think last I checked, Steelers were plus 2.5.
Plus 2?
Yeah.
Are you sure? At home? They're home dogs?
Yeah, last I heard. Let me look this up.
Oh man, I would take that. If you're giving them a home dog, all right.
Let's see. I mean, what do you think, just like without even this? Yeah, 49ers are minus 2.5.
Yeah, I think this is a very viable L. Like, I could see this happening. They come out flat for some reason. This is just like a Shanahan staple where the first game just looks fucking weird. It just happens. We've seen it last year when they go out and they lose to the Chicago Bears. We've seen it the year before that when it's a weird game that goes to, I think it went to overtime with the Lions. Like, just weird game. So yeah, I could see this being a L. I could see that being very, very real. We'll dig into this on Saturday as far as what our bet's going to be, but this is a good team in the Steelers. This is a very, very good team that is looking to take that next step. So you can't come out flat. You can't not have your best players on the field. Let's just get the job done. Like, let's get this deal done. Let's get this signed on paper and let's get out there, because you can't have an extra L on your record when you are looking for a Super Bowl run. If all of everything you've been telling everybody is we're looking to win a Super Bowl now, this is our window, then actions speak louder than that. So pay Bosa whatever the fuck he wants and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah. It's gonna be, even with Bosa, it's gonna be a tough game.
Yeah,
they have some explosive offensive pieces. Their defense is great. I mean, our offensive line isn't like exactly like ready to be all 5 Pro Bowlers rolling out there. Like, we lost our right tackle. I mean, TJ Watt's out there roaming around. So yeah, they have players, and I think they challenge us in spots that we could struggle in potentially. Like, the receivers that they have are really good.
Really good. Yeah.
Our corners have good potential. Like, I could see this being like a top 10 DB room, but it also could be like a bottom 20, like it could be ranked in like the less than 20 at the end of the day. And we just have like Travaris Ward, who's like solid, but everyone else, like, who
Question mark,
knows?
question mark, question mark.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I just want Bosa paid. I just want him out there, and let's beat Kenny Pickett. Like, that's all I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, so let's kind of go into that. How do you think the 49ers match up against the Steelers? I know you said one matchup is going to be that kind of is favorable is the wide receivers of the Steelers versus the DBs. Where do you think the 49ers have the advantage?
I mean, CMC. I mean, this guy, even against any team, I'll say CMC is the advantage, and Debo especially. I think maybe you could say the same thing on our side. The receivers, we have a pretty good receiving core, even though there's a lot of guys banged up. That top three is still solid in Debo, Ayuk, and Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings is slept on so hard, and he's great, and he has a great connection with Brock Purdy.
And I think we're going to see Ronnie Bell. Like, I actually think the way everything, the roster shaped up, this is actually prime for Ronnie Bell to get out there and at least see some live reps, have some balls thrown to him. And I think, like, we know that with every quarterback, he did have some chemistry. He felt really good. Yeah, there was a couple of rookie mistakes, but I think he's going to work that out. And he looks pretty good. Like, he looks good with the ball in his hands, man.
I mean, I think we can expect a big Debo CMC game.
Yeah.
Both those guys are going to get fed. And then who knows? You can take something to the house, like from wherever. We seen him almost score off of 10-yard and back, a comeback route in the preseason. So he's looking great. As far as our defense, I would like to see some Jair Brown out there. I know we got Tashawn Gibson, who he had like a all-pro level season last year, but Jair Brown is just a different breed. That guy, he's going to be pretty nice for us with Ufunga back there. So I hope he gets a good amount of run.
And the linebackers are awesome. I think the Steelers are going to have such a hard time running the ball. So maybe that does open up to more mistakes for, small hands Kenny Pickett. So, but I like Kenny Pickett. I think he's a little more elusive than people would think. I think that he's getting a little bit more accurate than people would think. So he is a pretty dangerous cat. But I think with lack of run game, when you shut that down, it just opens it up to more mistakes, especially against this linebacking core.
Yeah, and we'll get into our predictions this Saturday for our diamond pick of the week. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow us, and we'll let you know where to make money, because we made money last year. We're up, so let's all make money together. One of our last topics here: college football. College football's back. It is a ridiculous college football season. Let's just run through some of these great storylines. Right off the bat, you got to say, I got to admit, I wasn't a true believer in this move, but now I see it. Deion Sanders, prime time, goes to Colorado, first game beats TCU.
It was fucking electric, dude. Travis Hunter, I think he solidified himself as the number 2 pick in this NFL draft. Let's say Caleb Williams decides not to, or let's say, in this situation, Caleb Williams is like, hey, I will go to any team but the Cardinals. And the Cardinals have the number 1 pick. It may be a viable option for them to just be like, hey, we're going to get Travis Hunter then. Travis Hunter played all the snaps on offense. He played all the snaps on defense. He had 10 catches?
11 catches.
11 catches, and he had a pick. It was fucking electric. Shador, Deion's son, looked awesome. And afterwards, Deion came out and said, hey, we went to a camp and TCU's offensive coordinator disrespected Shador, ignored him, didn't pay attention to him, didn't think he was a high-level quarterback, so we really wanted to run it up on them. He threw for over 500 yards. So it was just awesome to see, and I think this really does set up for, in a few weeks, They're going to play USC and Caleb Williams, and that's going to be a lights out matchup.
Is it going to be at USC?
I believe so.
How much are the tickets for that? Can we get to that game?
Let's see. Colorado.
That would be probably the
No, it's at Colorado.
I'd still go to that.
It's September 30th. I'll look into it. Well, we'll see.
Yeah. If there's any college football game,
that's going to be fucking crazy.
Is that going to be the most electric college football game of the season?
I don't know. There's a couple. I think in
cheapest country. Okay, guess the price of the cheapest ticket for this game at Colorado.
At Colorado, what is it? Like $300?
$243.
Oh, hey, that's doable. That's doable.
I mean, yeah, that's doable. But do you think how much do you think a Colorado ticket was last year?
Oh, dude,
$30.
If for box seats.
Yeah, if you guys are in the area, definitely get some tickets right now to that game because that price
it's only going to go up. The more
it's going to go up.
It's going to go up. The hype around it is going to be crazy. I might just buy a ticket just to flip it later. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be insane. Yeah. I think Coach Prime made the best call, and I think the Pac-12 as a whole, it's fucking dead, but it's also fucking electric. Like, no Pac-12 teams lost their week 1 game. It looks awesome. So they have Caleb Williams. This is really one of the conferences with the most quarterback talent. They have Bo Nix. They have Caleb Williams. They have Shador. They have Mike Penix. I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but man, just those guys alone are now we're talking about round 1 quarterbacks.
It's awesome. It sucks, man, because I didn't want the Pac-12 to die. Like, this feels weird being like Bay Area and like loving that conference specifically of college football, and now it's just gonna be gone.
I mean, they fucking did it to themselves, dude. When instead of striking while the iron was hot and really feeding into the conference, they chose to just do bullshit. And so, yeah, I think this influx of talent obviously has to do with the move to the Big Ten, the move to these other conferences where it's more exciting and people actually give a shit about football specifically. Whereas in the Pac-12, it really felt like, oh, we're going to share the wealth here. We really care about, all these other sports when that your bread gets buttered with college football. So let's lean into that. Let's give these football programs as much as we can, and then we'll figure out the rest from there.
Yeah, and where it felt like a lot of like these past couple seasons, like a lot of these Pac-12 schools had talent where you're like, oh man, maybe they will like take a run at it. Like no one's gotten close to a national title, but with these moves to these better conferences, that's a possibility that they can get enough talent and get up there in the rankings and win consistently. Because it was like, oh, UCLA has a lot of guys this year, and then they end up losing 3 games. USC, I don't know, and then they lose 2 games, and they're like, yeah. So Washington almost got it 1 year.
Yeah.
But then after that, the talent, like the guys get drafted, talent falls off because no one's going to Washington for Power 5,
Yeah.
So
I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy. It is sad to see, but it is like we have this 1 year, and this 1 year is just it started off with a bang.
One last ride.
Yep.
Pac-12.
Last dance.
Yep. You guys go to all your California college football games this season because it's not going to be the same. And then Duke beats Clemson. Man. What's the quarterback for Duke? It is
Riley Leonard.
175 yards passing, 98 rushing yards, and a touchdown. Beat Clemson. And then did you see he told he's getting interviewed after the game? And he's like, "Hey, professor, can I get an extension on this assignment? Because it's due at midnight, and I ain't getting it done."
Yep.
That kid's electric.
I also seen he's just a charismatic dude. Mm-hmm. I also seen that his mom texted him, "You suck," before every game to keep him humble.
Dude, that's amazing.
So it's cool to see. On the flip side, Clemson lost it, dude. Like They just lost their edge. No one's scared of them anymore. They're in the ACC, which everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be the next SEC," and it's just not. And is Dabo on the hot seat? This is a couple years back to back where they're looking like it's not going to be anywhere near playoff mode.
I mean, who do they have other than the quarterback? Like, I don't think they have that top 5, top 10 talent right now. Where a lot of these other schools, I feel like it's really leveled the playing field. Like, he was one of the people against the
NIL, yes.
yeah, and for this reason exactly. Like, now all these schools, it feels like there's going to be some more parity in college football. Because
Well, yeah, he said that if they did pay players, that he would quit. And he knew, I think he knew, like, he
should
does
quit.
a certain branding of recruitment, and it just doesn't work when you cut down to the middle and you're like, hey, okay, well, what are you going to pay me? And he's like, Jesus in football. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is what we do here. And they're like, all right, but it's not a paycheck. Like, what are you going to pay me, bro?
Mhm.
And I just think it's a completely different landscape. And some guys are going to do well, and some guys aren't going to do well. I don't think Urban Meyer, his horny ass, would come back. And do you see him hitting on that chick when he's supposed to go on live?
No.
It was like during it's during one of the like in between segments, and it shows like the camera and he's off to the side just chatting up some co-ed. But anyways, I don't think he would do well in this environment. I think it just takes a new approach to it. And I don't know if he would thrive in it.
Yeah, so like the rankings right now, Georgia, it goes Georgia, Michigan, Bama, Florida State, Ohio
Florida
State.
State's back, dude.
Yeah, Florida State, USC's there, Penn State, Washington is number 8 right now. And then we got Tennessee, Notre Dame, Texas, Utah, Oregon. LSU's number 14. They lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, once you get through that, it's like really Oregon State's all the way up here. Like Kansas State's up here. Duke is 21. So yeah, Tulane is number 24 right now.
I mean, I think they've had a good program for the last couple of years, so that is not surprising that they are on the top 25. I think we're going to start to see them rise throughout the year.
But in the past, it would be like, okay, this team out of nowhere, like smaller school that no one really cares about, starts to climb the rankings. They might peak at like the number 5 spot, and then they lose a game, fall back to like 15, and then the next season they're gone.
Yeah.
But with this new NIL, and you're paying some players and you can keep some talent, a team like that could keep on feeding the program and keep on getting better.
Yeah, and you got to have guys like JT Daniels, Keegan Slovis, these guys that have been around forever, hopping around. Hey, I'm a quarterback. I have a lot of experience. I'll go to this smaller name school and let's go ahead and try to win some stuff. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it is a little bit more viable for a smaller school.
This quarterback class right now, potential 2024 quarterback class, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Shador Sanders, Michael Penix, Quinn Ewers, JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, Riley Leonard, Spencer Rattler, Joe Milton, Jordan Travis. How many of these guys could go in the first round?
1, 2, 3, 4. I would say right now, lock for me, if I'm like an NFL GM, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Shador, and Penix all go in the first round.
And I even throw Quinn Ewers at like a 32 spot in that.
I would say I would have Bo Nix a little bit ahead of him just because he's a guy who's been around a long time. He was at Auburn. He has big game experience. The one thing he didn't have was consistency. He had it last year at Oregon. He's trying to repeat that. We'll see what ends up happening. But this is a fucking potentially a crazy influx of talent coming into the NFL at the quarterback position. And everyone has talked about the last few years, like, oh, this is crazy. Like, there's so many quarterbacks.
We just had a loaded quarterback draft.
If you stack this class against all the others, it pales in comparison. Like this
Can
class
you
is stacked.
can you imagine if like this is the class, and then we don't even know those guys who are gonna sneak in and
Yeah.
be sneaky good. Like looking back at this class back to back with the next one, we have like obviously the main guys who got picked, but then later in the draft, DTR's looking good. Jake Hayner looks like a solid backup right now. Eden O'Connell, who else am I missing? Like what's his name might start for the Cardinals.
So yeah, and I think if you are one of those teams like that have an older quarterback that you're like, I think the Titans could take another quarterback. I could see them being like, all right, well, we have to move off Tannehill. We don't feel 100% with Malik Willis or Will Levis. Let's just take a guy. Let's take Shador. Let's take Penix. Let's really figure this out. I could see that happening. The Vikings, the Giants. I think, let's say, the Seahawks are going to take it. So there's a lot of teams in the mix.
As someone who is a Spencer Rattler hater, I just don't like his attitude. Man, is he
Still
back?
Still young.
Is he back? 30 for 39, 353 yards. If I could get Spencer Rattler in the 6th or 7th round, like, hey, he has potential. You never know.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
that's how deep this draft could be.
It's pretty crazy. So if you are one of those, or even you have a quarterback that you're like, I'm a little unsure, but like the fucking Cowboys. The Cowboys are like, are we really going to pay Dak Prescott when we can get
Is Trey Lance going to have a job next year is the question with this loaded quarterback draft. Like I would not get rid of Cooper Rush next year. And I would obviously Dak's going to be there. So that third spot, like, is Trey Lance going to have a job? That's going to be a good question.
So, I mean, it's really crazy. And you got to start to, if you are a team that has an older quarterback, you just look at him sideways like, hey, what are we doing here, buddy?
There's going to be a lot of people posting the Carson Wentz, hey, I'm still working out in all my former team gear here.
Yeah.
Because there ain't going to be a lot of jobs for these veterans anymore.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a crop like this come in of just talent, it's going to be cheap because you know it's a controlled contract. Wouldn't you much rather move off of what you have and just at least try to get something? Try to strike lightning in a bottle here.
If I'm the Cardinals, I'm not drafting a quarterback. I'm waiting for Archie Manning. Arch Manning. I'm plotting for the future. That's all we got today, right, for college football?
Yeah, I think that's it. It's electric, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season leading right into a great NFL season. So I'm ready. I'm ready to lose some money on these bets. Yeah, our final segment of the show, which is a new segment, and we're going to be doing it every Sunday of the NFL season. Welcome to the Deep Dig Disco. Disco, short for Discovery, where we discover something new every week and we share it with you. Could be music, could be movies, could be anything. What do you got?
Pretty much, we're just trying to stay in the pop culture because while we love football, while we love sports in general, we also have other interests, and we can't be doing it 24/7. So, yeah, this week, do you want me to hop into mine?
You go first this week.
All right. So mine, I know a lot of people are probably going to shit on me because of this. We are Mexican. This is a one that should have gotten a lot of play in the house. I just never paid attention to it. It is a movie called Stand and Deliver. So for those who don't know,
you're old.
It stars Edward James Olmos. It stars Lou Diamond Phillips. Edward James Olmos is a teacher teaching in East Los Angeles in the mid 80s. And there, it's a pretty much rundown school. It's one of those
inner
typical,
city.
Inner city. I'm gonna change these kids' lives. But this was like one of the first movies to do it. It's actually a really, really good movie. So he starts off with him taking a job. He starts off with Math 1A, and he follows these kids up as they go through their senior year. And then during the senior year, they're actually taking calculus and he has them all take and prepare for the AP calculus exam because he wants them to get into really good schools. Turns out they all passed. All 18 of his students passed.
Spoiler.
Well, I mean,
No,
yeah,
you're describing a fucking old movie. Who?
I am. It's a pretty old movie, but they all pass. They then get actually investigated because all 18 of the students pass. So everyone believes that this this entire class of Mexican American students cheated. It's a really good movie. I would highly check it out. Lou Diamond Phillips has a couple of really good scenes. He plays a kid that is just a little bit troubled. He actually has "fuck you" tatted across his knuckles as a teenager. It's pretty cool. I would say 100% go ahead and watch it. I think it's streaming on Max as of right now, but it is a last chance. So I think it's going to be going away pretty soon. If you want to double up on your Edward James Olmos, I would say go ahead and watch Selena as well. That one I got a lot of play at, and it's actually a really, really good movie. Jennifer Lopez, electric. So she started off her career with a banger in Selena. The same year she goes and she does Anaconda. Fucking no wonder J-Lo came out of the gates. Versatile. Fucking star power.
That's versatile right there.
That's my recommendation. My discovery is Stand and Deliver.
And if you want to triple up on your Edward James Olmos, watch the South Park episode where they parody Stand and Deliver, and Carmen is Edward James Olmos. He's like, "How do I reach these kids?" That's all I think of when I see that movie. I don't know how you haven't seen that in so long. I like watched it like 4 times in school. So
no, you know which one we watched as a lot? What's that one with Freedom Riders? Is that the one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was like a fucking favorite for history teachers.
All right, well, mine's a movie this time. It's newer movie, Fremont. It is based in the town of Fremont, the Bay Area. Right now it's in theaters. I watched it at the Roxy in San Francisco. Great little theater. Definitely go support. Here's the quick little description of it. Formerly a translator for the United States military in Afghanistan, Danya struggles to rebuild her life in San Francisco and works for a Chinese fortune cookie factory. In a moment of sudden revelation, she decides to send out a special message in one of those cookies. Definitely, it's a comedy. Definitely has some really good laughs. There's like some weird like surrealism acting choices going on in there, but it all works. It's in black and white, but it's actually really beautifully shot. It's like just so aesthetically pleasing. The actress, it's actually her first film. She does great, amazing. There's a guy in it. This guy, what's this actor? Greg Turkington. I don't know if you've seen Ant-Man, but he's the boss from Baskin Robbins.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's the boss of Ant-Man at Baskin Robbins. He puts in a hilarious performance. He's like a therapist. And I don't want you guys, like, everyone chill. Everyone sit down for this. There is Jeremy Allen White in this movie. You know, from The Bear.
Yeah.
That guy, okay. He's in it. Yeah. He's in it. So a little something extra in there. But yeah, it's a really interesting watch. Learn a little bit about what goes on and how it affects the people in Afghanistan and the war and everything. So yeah, it's really great. Highly recommend you go out to a small theater and watch it.
All right. I think that's it for today, right?
Yep. Let us know in the comments what you guys are discovering this week. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you reading?
Yep. Appreciate you. And make sure to hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe. Take it easy.
Pew, 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 pew.